Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and jeez, oh man, all that buildup.
Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and welcome to Week 10 of our digital show. I'm Jay Pushko alongside Mike Fenner and Kent Urbanski. And guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming out of their bye week. But before that, Kent and I, you and I made the trip down to Philadelphia, and what a trip it was. The game wasn't all that great for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the overall experience, quite a thrill for both of us. What did you take away from the trip overall?
I liked everything leading up to the game.
Yeah.
Everything after that.
The food was great. The hospitality was great.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I wish they had showed up a little better, you know. But, you know, they have some work to do after that. And when you look at the way they got beat, I think the coverages were there, but you know, their wide receiver there was just dominant, man. He just took it to us, and I think he even took a penalty on one of those touchdown catches, you know, knowing that he was taking it to us. So anyway, we need to recover from that, move past it. It seems like it was so long ago.
It really was.
And, you know, since then, Chase Claypool's no longer with the team. And I'm curious to see now how they bounce back after a bye week. They're back home for a couple of games. I think they're going to play a New Orleans team that's coming in, haven't played Monday night, you know, and
getting thumped
against
Baltimore.
Didn't play real well on their home turf against Baltimore, and I think the Steelers can, you know, make some adjustments here. I'm curious to see what they are, and see if they can get a W.
Mike, you were at practice this past week, and just the overall energy. I mean, the fact that T.J. Watt is close to getting the green light. I mean, that's got to be encouraging, and just getting some time away from the field had to have helped this team, at least moving forward for the second half.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger storylines is it seems like there's a lot more real optimism that he's going to play this week. And we can't guarantee you can't never know for sure, but it just seems like he's making some pretty good progress, and these guys seem to be getting that lift, feeling like, okay, this might be the chance for him to come back. This could be really good timing. These two home games back-to-back. If you take care of business, this is the time you got to get it done. Find a way to win find a way to win one game, and then if you can get both these home games somehow, some way, you're still somehow alive in the AFC North. But that would be a huge lift to get Watt back in the lineup. And I think it would not only, obviously he's valuable himself, but then it frees up a guy like Alex Highsmith, frees up other guys to be playmakers when they don't have to be completely responsible for everything that he's, you know, capable of doing.
Yeah, because the whole first half of the season, I mean, there's been no pass rush. I mean, we've seen the likes of, you know, the Patriots and their quarterback situation, no pressure whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
You know, Tua Tagovailoa, just no pressure whatsoever. So to have TJ back in the lineup, this could be a huge deal for the Steelers.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it changes the way, you know, New Orleans is going to have to game plan. They're going to have to game plan for him because you know, he's a disruptive force. But will he be just coming back off the injury? You know, I know, Mike, you were down at practice yesterday, and he probably looked good and he probably looked fast, but game speed is totally different. So, in conditioning as well, you know. So.
And the adrenaline, the excitement, that takes the wind out of you real quick too.
Right. So yeah, that's another interesting factor. And on the offensive side of the ball, I'm curious to see if Jaylen Warren gets more snaps in this game, and whether he gets snaps early and not later in the games, and I'm curious to see what he can do.
And Mike, the theme all season for this offense too is like from the 25 to the 25, they're moving the ball. You know, the yardage is there for Kenny Pickett, the yardage is there for the receivers, but they just can't finish. Once they especially get into the red zone, they're settling for field goals again. A little bit of the shakeup. Do you think it's going to possibly get something going here?
Well, there's certainly going to be a different look without Chase Claypool as a red zone guy, for sure. That's a guy, you know, that you would hope would have been a guy to be a playmaker down there in that red area to get him into the end zone more often, more frequently. You would expect maybe this is the time Pat Freiermuth gets more involved. And another reason Warren's getting so many chances is a guy like Najee Harris in the red zone's got to be better. That's not happening either. So that's where you got to, well, maybe we go the other way and give a guy like Warren an opportunity. And Harris kind of looked dejected at practice yesterday. He looked like he just like a little bit frustrated and just can't quite figure out how to get this thing working on the ground because the running game's just not been there.
It's kind of seemed like he's had that all season,
Yeah.
though. I mean, it's,
And Mike, you make a great point because you and I were talking after the Philadelphia game. We were doing our post-production work, and I said, I have a problem right now with Najee. Look at his body language.
Yeah.
He looked so disinterested.
It's not
He was
great.
sitting on the stool.
Yeah.
His head was in his hand. People were asking him questions, and he just looked disinterested. He looked like the last place he wanted to be was in Philadelphia, dealing with another
Right.
loss. And that really reflects, for me, the body language and the attitudes of these players, and that's something that's got to change too.
well, if I'm him, I'm coming into this game with a chip on my shoulder attitude.
Maybe that's what he needs.
Yeah, because everybody's
Hey, where do you worn the ball if you
Right.
don't,
Everybody's doubting them. I mean, there's rumblings. You hear talk radio talking about trade them. They should have never drafted them as a first-round draft pick. That they could have got, beefed up that offensive line instead and picked up a running back later that could have done the same thing. I still believe in. I think he's a talented guy. He's a hard worker, but I think, this season has taken its toll on him. He has not been able to duplicate what he's done in his rookie year. So
And
not
or
even
even in
close.
college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not even close. So whether that's all offensive coordinator calling plays, whether it's the offensive line not doing their job pass blocking for him or run blocking for him, I don't know. I don't know what the answers are for him, but hopefully in this game, I keep saying that. This game, I hope he, I don't even think he's got I don't even think he's got 50-yard rushing games yet.
I tell you,
know
what,
I
they're
mean?
very,
So,
very slim numbers.
yeah,
if that's
yeah.
the case
So
too.
that's
It's
what
not too late to rectify this.
No,
though. A lot of people
no.
forget. A lot of people forget. Another Alabama running back, Derrick Henry, back in 2018. People were putting him on the chopping block. He
Yeah.
was a backup to Deion Lewis.
Right.
I mean, he had his turning point.
Yeah.
Now look at what kind of running back he is.
Yeah, I think
the light can come on for this guy. He's
Yeah.
got the talent. We all know
Yeah.
it. He's
And
got
there's
the
still
build.
9 games left.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time for him to get this corrected, but it's just been a frustrating start for the Steelers on that ground game, and obviously offensively as a whole.
All it takes is one game,
Yeah.
to get him going.
Get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Speaking of that one game, it could be this Sunday against the Saints, and I just feel like this is 2 evenly matched teams, but teams that just really aren't firing on all cylinders. How can the Pittsburgh Steelers get that elusive victory and get themselves at least started back in the right direction?
Geez, get in the end zone. They're not scoring. You got to score to win, and they're not doing that. So I think first of all, you got to take some pressure off of that defense. They're on the field way too much, and drive the ball down the field, run the ball down the field, and on defense, stop Kamara. I think he was limited to under 50 yards against the Ravens on Monday night. They need to do the same thing. They don't have Thomas is out, guys like that are out that are big downfield weapons for the Saints. So hopefully, the defense will be able to create a couple of turnovers, give short fields to the offense, and so they can get in the end zone on their home turf and get the fans behind them.
And Mike, the quarterback play for the Saints isn't, lightning in a bottle either. So this is a great opportunity for this defense for Pittsburgh to really amp it back up and do what they do best.
From a secondary and a pass defense standpoint, I could not agree more. I'm a little bit worried about the run defense matchup, though, because of the combination of Kamara and a guy like Taysom Hill. I think this could be a time of possession game where the Saints keep the ball for much of the game on the ground with that mix of speed and power. I'm a little worried about that matchup because we know, obviously, Pittsburgh's run defense much maligned. It's been well documented how much they've struggled against the run. And the Saints team could be trouble despite not having some elite quarterback play because Andy Dalton's a journeyman at this point, not playing well. Of course, you've had the Jameis Winston injury, but a guy like Taysom Hill, not going to throw the ball super effectively, but the way they can keep it on the ground and maybe keep the ball could be a problem for Pittsburgh. And you could see a defense that gets worn down if they're not able to get the Saints behind the chains and get off the field.
Well, we'll see if the Steelers can make it back to a 3-6 record. They've got a tall task going up against the Saints on Sunday. So for Mike Fenner and Ken Urbanski, I'm Jay Pushkar. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for Black and Gold Digital Edition.